Remember Leah Thomas, the transgender swimmer who started competing in the women's category and won the first race he competed in? So there's this new man that is breaking records on behalf of women. Valentina Petrillo is his name, and he has already won 8 championships competing against biological women. What an absolute legend. I respect that he is fighting for equality so men and women can finally compete against each other. But all jokes aside, this is the brave and beautiful Valentina. Isn't she a beautiful woman? Valentina is 50 years old and transitioned in his 40s, being nothing but a backmarker in the male division. He already had a wife and kids, which led Smart to believe that he just one day came up with the idea of becoming trans to get a few championships before retirement. And it looks like the plan is working really well. Now as a woman he won his 8th championship title for running, in the women's category of course. At 50 years old he is dominating against women who are much younger. It almost looks like there is a difference between the two sexes. But you can't say that without being labeled as sexist or transphobe. But have a look for yourself. I'm sure you won't be able to notice which one was born male. Did you notice which one Valentina is? And here is the race. I have to say that I was surprised that that woman in second place was able to keep up with Valentina. She at least tried to compete. And now imagine if Valentina wasn't there. She would have easily broken a record. Just look at the gap between her and the rest of the field. Now I want to know who accepted this man to race in the female division. Because that actually completely destroyed equality, disguised as equality. It's crazy that these people don't realize that by protecting one individual's feelings, they destroy not only feelings but also careers of hundreds of women who work their asses off for years to be able to compete. And all of this is destroyed by a biological male who decided that he is a woman now. Disgusting. And I ask myself why women around the world support this crap instead of pushing back. My question got answered really quickly when I read an article about a women's basketball team pushing back against this. They said that they weren't going to play against a team that had a biological male on it, and guess what? They can't play now. The women running against Valentina also tried to push back. Here, for example, that woman that came in second and would have broken a record said this: "We do not feel equal, precisely because Valentina's physical structure is male. So we are not running at par. Although the personal path Valentina has taken is respectable, athletically speaking it is not, and because of this we feel very discriminated against. And this is a serious issue. Women's records are being claimed by biological men. Does this look like equality to you? To me it looks like we are going back in time and taking away women's rights. If aliens landed on Earth today, they would think that the best women out there are men. Thanks to people who push this BS instead of creating a trans-only division." This woman also spoke out against Valentina. She said, "I didn't feel like I competed as an equal. It was my race, my goal for the season. I had been preparing it for a long time, and I wanted to win." But of course Valentina thinks that his frustration is more valid. He is the oppressed trans person, of course. They had to make sure he had a special locker room, which of course makes complete sense. But he didn't like it. He compared the situation to Nazism and calling event organizers on the same level as Hitler. I don't understand what his problem is. He is allowed to compete in a category for women, while being a biological man, but he also expects to be able to use the same locker room as women. That's just creepy. It doesn't matter if you are transgender. Women don't want to see your wiener and balls in female-only spaces. That shouldn't come as a shocker. The same thing already happened with trans swimmer Leah Thomas. He was allowed to use the same locker room as the women he competed against. And what did he do? He exposed his male private parts. Why do we even bother to make female spaces and male spaces separate when people can just violate them? Taking estrogen and acting all feminine will not change the fact that a man will always be a man and a woman will always be a woman. I wonder how he feels standing next to these women on the podium. A grown man that is bigger and stronger than them. Also, he is still married to his wife, which makes it look even more like an act to win as many trophies as possible before retirement. But if you are still not convinced, he also races against disabled people because he has some vision loss. Does that make any sense to you? A biological male with vision loss competing against women with real disabilities. Beating women was not enough for him, so he decided to also beat disabled people. And trans groups will paint this as heroism. Here's another article about him. Valentina Petrillo could this year become the first openly transgender woman to compete at the Paralympics. For the visually impaired Italian, selection for the national squad would be a dream come true, but she says she understands why other athletes may have doubts and questions about racing against her. I'm happy as a woman, and running as a woman is all I want. I couldn't ask for more. I've got a fire inside me that pushes me. An emotional strength. Obviously, my body's not what it was at 20 when I was at my peak, but my happiness pushes me to go further, to go beyond my limits. Maybe it isn't a fire or emotional strength that pushes you, but your testosterone. You know, the thing your balls produce. This guy has zero self-awareness. My metabolism has changed. I'm not the energetic person I was. In the first months of transition, I put on 10 kilograms. I can't eat the way I did before. I became anemic. My hemoglobin is low. I'm always cold. I don't have the same physical strength. My sleep isn't what it was. I have mood swings, she says. So you admit that hormones to actually change your body. So why are we told that puberty blockers don't change anything and are harmless? They are being given to children. Watch my last video about Jazz Jennings. He is depressed because his parents mutilated him and pumped hormone blockers into his body before the age of 10. And notice how Valentina still finds a way to play victim, even though he is easily winning. Give me a break. It has become Petrillo's motto. Better to be a slow happy woman than a fast and happy man. Well, you weren't a fast man, and now you're beating all these women, so I guess you messed up your motto. It should be better to be a fast happy tranny than a slow man nobody cares about.